Vance Strader sent me a letter. Now, I'm going to try not to stutter and stammer too much through this video, but I have to tell you, I never thought this would happen. When I opened the letter last Friday, I was completely blown away and totally honored. I had been out of town. The letter that he sent was dated September 3rd. I got it last Friday. Today's Sunday, and I got it at the same time I got my vanity plate for my LiveWire One. So it was kind of a big day. But this is really something. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think anything like this would ever happen, and I'm just blown away at many different levels. One thing I wanted to mention to let you know the scale of what's going on here. My son Preston, he's a sophomore at the Berkeley. He's in the School of Engineering and Management, and he's studying for a career in electric vehicles. And all of his friends, they're doing, solar racing cars, and they're doing internships all over Silicon Valley, and he's running in the crowd and doing all those things. And when I told him that I got a letter from Vance Strader, he said, "Dad, he's the guy. Everybody knows he's the guy." And that just lets you know the level of respect that Vance has, even from students studying engineering for electric vehicles. I mean, Vance really is the guy. Now, if you aren't familiar with who he is, I know him primarily from his LinkedIn page and a couple podcasts that he did that I listened to. But Vance is the head of design and technology at LiveWire. If you read the PDF file for the SPAC that LiveWire is doing later this month, they have him listed as the Chief Technology Officer. But to give you a little bit of background about Vance, from 1997 to 2004, he was the lead product engineer at Buell, and he did the XB series, including the XB9R Firebolt, which I don't know how many of you old enough to remember that bike, but it was incredible on many levels. It had gasoline in the frame, it carried the oil in the swing arm, had crazy brakes, and it was an incredible sport bike, and just groundbreaking in many ways. Even the Ducati Street Fighter that I has design elements that were pioneered on the XB9R, like the way the under the engine exhaust works and all that stuff. I mean, Vance has really been a trendsetter and really did some cool things. He worked at Harley Davidson from 2004 to 2021 as the chief engineer and senior director. He not only developed the LiveWire One, which began in 2010 when Jochen Zeitz, decided or kind of mentioned as a board that having an electric motorcycle might be a good idea to look into. He also did the Harley Davidson Pan America, which is obviously an incredible bike. I keep going to Harley dealers to try and test ride that thing, but the problem is as soon as they come in, they're off the floor immediately because they're so popular and so cool. There, of course, the big innovation is the variable ride height, where when you stop, the bike lowers down for people like me with short legs. He also did the Sportster S, and if you go to the LinkedIn page, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, this guy has been involved in every kind of motorcycle and technology imaginable. It's just everywhere that he goes, every motorcycle that he does, there's innovation like crazy. And the interesting thing and the surprising thing actually is that he became or threw his hat in with LiveWire in May 2021 to work on the LiveWire One in the Del Mar. And he's also responsible for LiveWire Labs, which is an engineering unit that LiveWire set up in Mountain View for, I guess, software and hardware engineering. I don't know exactly what they do, but they're a Silicon Valley presence for the technology that LiveWire is developing. So, he is quite a guy, and has done really more with motorcycles and the engineering of motorcycles than anyone else. Period. I mean, nobody at any company, Honda, Yamaha, BMW, nobody has done those kinds of gas motorcycles, an electric motorcycle like LiveWire. I mean, he really is the guy, just like my son said. I mean, he is the guy. So I'm not going to share with you everything that he said to me in the letter. He was very nice and very gracious, and he's a very cool guy. But I am going to tell you part of what he had to say to me. And I'm taking, kind of a little tidbit of what he said. He said, and our mission to pioneer the future of motorcycling. It's a passion of mine, and I feel so fortunate to be able to lead the design and development of LiveWire's motorcycles. Now, that was really not what I was expecting, because he's saying that he's fortunate to be able to do this, and he talks about that it's a passion. So you kind of get the idea that he's not in it for the money. I mean, that's really a very strong thing to say. And I really don't think he is in it for the money, because he's, I think I don't know how old he is, but I think he's probably middle 50s. So, I mean, I'm sure that he could ride out a career at, Harley Davidson doing gas motorcycles for the rest of his career and do just fine. But he's decided to do LiveWire, which is, really cool. And it kind of reminds me of Jochen Zeitz, because, he doesn't need to do anything either. I mean, he's a very wealthy man in his own right. He's, world of renown for many of the things that he's done. So, I mean, he doesn't need to be doing LiveWire either. So it's kind of like those are at least two guys that are really showing incredible passion on the LiveWire team. And, there are others as well, but those two kind of stand out because they don't need to do what they're doing. I mean, they could do a lot of other things, or, stay where they at, or where they were. So that really, that's strong that he says it's a passion and that he feels fortunate. So that's really something. So I've had a chance to sit around and kind of think about what this all means. I've been thinking about it pretty much nonstop for the last couple days. And the way that I see it and what I think it means is, Vance has an unparalleled experience designing both gas and electric motorcycles. It's safe to say that he knows more about it than anyone has ever known. I mean, nobody anywhere has got a record like he's got at any company. Okay, he did the XB9R Firebolt, the LiveWire 1, the Pan America. It goes on and on. I mentioned the Sportster S. I mean, all the cool stuff, he's done it. So then, in May 2021, he throws his hat in with LiveWire because, quoting from his sentence, it's a passion, and he's, quote, so fortunate to be able to, quote, pioneer the future of motorcycling. Now, notice he says the future of motorcycling. He doesn't say the future of electric motorcycling, okay? And the reason, obviously, to me, that he said motorcycling instead of electric motorcycling is because the future of motorcycling does not include gas motorcycles, and Vance knows it, and he knows the future is coming fast. So, because of, regulations and what's going on with climate change, I mean, different countries and continents are doing different things, but in California, we're not going to be able to buy gas cars after 2035. They're talking about now making it so you can't even register a gas vehicle after 2040. And I mean, these times are just around the corner. I know Europe is doing the same thing. And as an over-the-road truck driver, I can tell you that these emission standards really do happen, and they really are coming. I had to buy a new semi-truck to meet the pollution standards that California put in. So I mean, this is happening. The gas bikes are going away for sure. Vance knows it, and he knows the future's coming fast. Now, likewise, Willie G knows the same thing. He said, and I've got a video of it in one of my other videos, but he said, quote, "If we lose our freedom, we've had it. If we lose our right to ride, we've had it." Okay? Now, I don't know Vance. I've never spoken to him. I don't really know what the dynamics are at Harley, but I'm sure that Vance knows Willie G. Okay? I'm sure that he knows him. Okay? And I think that Vance went to LiveWire to make sure we don't lose our right to ride. He's making sure that we don't get regulated, out of existence. Now, the other thing I want to point out is only 8% of the U.S. population rides motorcycles. So 92% of people don't ride them, probably don't care for them, and would be just fine if motorcycles didn't exist at all. So, I mean, we need to be very careful of what we're doing, and we need to make sure we don't lose our right to ride because our motorcycles can't pass zero emission standards. So anyway, I think that's why he went to LiveWire, is his right to ride. I don't think he did it for the money or the prestige or anything else. I mean, I think he did it because he knows that the future is near, and he knows that he's the guy that can do it, or he and the team at Harley or LiveWire, they're the people that can do it. Now, when I read the letter, I kind of had a epiphany and started to think about several things that are kind of deep. So I don't mean to get too far in the weeds here, but freedom is a very strong ideal, and it's one of the few things that people will die for in defense of when it's threatened. Okay? Many consider freedom more important than survival. And Willie G said, freedom is everything. And I've got the video. You can look even on my YouTube homepage. It's got that video of Willie G saying that. Now, if you look at history and you kind of look at how things are, you see that sometimes really strong realizations like freedom find an expression in symbolic form. Motorcycles, and Harley-Davidson motorcycles in particular, are recognized as a symbol of freedom. Okay, not just here in the United States, but everywhere. Harley-Davidson is known as a symbol of freedom. It's the brand of freedom. Okay, I mean it's a bigger brand than Chevrolet or anything else. I mean, maybe not Google, but I mean, the Harley-Davidson brand represents several things, but freedom obviously is central, okay? And Harley's a symbol of freedom. Okay, LiveWire 1 was created by Vance Strader's passion, and I understand it's not just Vance. I mean, I think he's got 300 engineers or something working for him, hundreds of people at Harley-Davidson. So LiveWire 1 was created by Vance Strader to personify freedom in our modern world. Okay, future generations will recognize it as the turning point from the bondage of fossil fuel to the freedom of renewables. So, future generations are going to look at the LiveWire 1 and say, hey, that was the most important motorcycle in 100 years. That's what they're going to say. It's going to be just like the Tesla Model S. It was a turning point because even though it wasn't a perfect car when it was introduced, it showed that electric cars were viable, and they were actually better than gas cars. I mean, that's what the Tesla Model S showed. And that's what the LiveWire 1 shows, because it is a better motorcycle than gas bikes. And it's proof that there is a future for motorcycles and freedom on motorcycles. So, not getting too far in the weeds, but, I understand, I think I understand what is motivating Vance and the people at LiveWire. Okay, I mean, this is pretty heavy stuff. Now, in closing, I want to say one more thing, and that is that it's a beautiful bike and it's a blast to ride. Have a nice evening.